the intersection of the crosshairs.
Sergey, I'm at the step 1.2 and am ready to reactivate SC1 and 3. Is it a go? Stand by 1.
Now less than 40 minutes away from the scheduled 7:27 a.m. Central Time docking, and about 15 minutes away from the point where the Progress would start its fly around of the International Space Station.
We have everything that we need on SSC of the Central Post. Why should we reboot it? We need to receive the image on the SSC in the crew quarters that we have just connected. Do you understand it correctly? Pavel Vladimirovich, on the SSC of the Central Post, you should receive the assembly mode camera. And in the crew quarters, you should receive the image from the vehicle. If we start rebooting, we won't receive anything. Station Moscow. How do you read? Yes, so 60 is the range. Okay. Yes, we have a good image. We have a good image of the vehicle. What is that? Inaudible. Okay, so the picture is not stable here on the ground. So please report. So 3. It was 3,090. Now it is 3,300. Now it is 300 and 3,200. 3,200. 9 and 6 is the range rate. Okay, we're expecting the burn right now. Yes, we're standing by for the burn. The image has disappeared. Okay. 3 is the range, 9 and 7 is the range rate, and we have the posigrade burn. Copy that. After the burn is over and the maneuver, you can activate the Toru. Please report it to us, and on our go, you will activate Toru. So 9 and 5 is the range rate.
And a view here now from the cameras on board the International Space Station of the Progress. Again, closing in on it. It's about 3.5 kilometers, or about 2 miles away from the space station now, and moving in at a rate of about 20 miles per hour. Slowly closing the distance between the two vehicles. Once it does get within 3 kilometers, just about there now, the crew on board that is the point at which the Toru system can be activated. That's what the crew on board the space station will be used to guide the Progress in for a manual docking if that does turn out to be needed. Also coming up is the 4th of the 6 impulse firings that move the Progress on its way to the space station.
2,300 is the range rate, is the range.
Now about 36 minutes away from the scheduled 7:27 a.m. Central Time docking.
Standing by for the station. 2,900 and 4 and 6 is the range rate. The image is not very stable. 2 and 100. I am observing the station. It's the posigrade, and we are standing by for 1 GSO. So the thrusters are posigrade burn. 2 kilometers is the range. So you can activate Toru. Yes, I'm sending the command according the ODF, Toru activation.
As you heard there, crew on board activating the Toru system that they would use if needed to guide the Progress in for a manual docking. The station and Progress are right now about 260 miles above the coast of Brazil and heading northeast.
468 and the range is 1 and 9. So go to page 21 and do the Toru test, please. Okay, it's a go. So the power knobs are lit, and we are sending the command and activate PPS исходная. We have the signal. So the test rotational controller. The in 3 seconds, and then the LED is off. Then LED is on 3 seconds, and it is off. So on pitch, the same, 3 seconds, and it is off. The pitch is the pitch down, 3 seconds, it is off. Now on roll, do the same. To the left, 3 seconds, the LED is on, then I release them and they are off. To the right, on roll, the same. The LED are off after 3 seconds. So RUO test is over, complete. Now I'm doing the RUD or translational controller test. Do the same, 3 seconds, and the LED is off. Now down, 3 seconds, and the LED is off. To the left, 3 seconds, a release, and they are off. To the right, LED on, 3 seconds, and they are off. And now 3 seconds for posigrade. Posigrade, the LED are lit. 3 seconds, I release them, and they are off. And posigrade. So the same. No issues, comments on the RUO or RUD tests. БПС исходная команда sent. All the LED are off with the exception of power, so everything is nominal. Copy, no issues, no comments, none. So go to page 22. And what about the image? Is it dark or is it bright enough? I will change the brightness.
Expedition 35 crew working their way through the test of the Toru system, everything checking out and looking nominal on that. It would be used in the event that it's necessary for the crew to take over the docking of the Progress 51 vehicle that is now 31 minutes away from its docking to the aft end of the Zvezda service module. You can see a view here from the Progress as it moves in towards the International Space Station, now less than a mile away. If it does become necessary for the crew to manually dock the Progress using that Toru system, that would be performed by Roman Romanenko and Pavel Vinogradov.
Moscow ISS, AGS completed. AGC completed and operation has been released. Copy, operation has been released. As you can see, we have SO unified 0.71. We have additional thrust operation and 900 meters, 2.5 on approach. Range 690 meters, 2.3 is range rate. And we have a stable picture. Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. The team here on the ground report that the impulse numbers 5 and 6 have both been complete now and went as planned. Progress continuing to close in on the International Space Station. Less than, or about half a kilometer away now. In about 4 minutes, the Progress will go into its fly-around mode of the International Space Station, and then it's scheduled to begin its final approach to the station
and the range
at 7:16 a.m.
1.3.
About 10 minutes before the scheduled docking at 7:27 a.m. Central Time. At the moment, the plan is for the Progress to move in for a soft docking, but not proceed with a hard docking to the space station. They'll pause with the soft docking, which means that the forward docking probe enters the docking port, but not far enough to initiate capture or close the docking hooks. Normally the hooks would close and the probe would then draw in to pull the two vehicles flush together. But plan is to stop at a soft docking to allow the teams here on the ground to evaluate the vehicle and make sure that the antenna that didn't deploy is not going to do any damage in its current position before they do come in for that hard docking. That analysis may take some time, and it may not be immediate that they do decide to go in for the hard docking, but it will, in the meantime, remain soft docked to the International Space Station.
Loud and clear. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I have a request for you. Can somebody be in Berka during docking? Say Pasha or Sasha? Yes, for our goals, yes. Also another question. Are you able to have voice com with them? So I don't have a clear picture of what you're able to perform on board. Yes, we're able to copy. But during retraction, we will ask Sasha to listen. So if we need to tell something to Roman. Yes, Vladimir Alexeyevich, I understand. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. You understand us so well. Copy. NCC Moscow, ISS Alexander is saying a wide angle lens that antenna is extended fully to the front. Copy. I am looking 316 is range, and range rate is 0.7 opposite there. Copy.
Continuing to see a view of the International Space Station here through the cameras on board, the camera on board the Progress 51 vehicle.
Okay.
Progress has now begun its fly-around mode to the International Space Station, getting around to the aft port of the Zvezda service module in preparation for its docking, which is now 23 minutes away, scheduled for 7:27 a.m. Central Time.
Okay, from you. During the traction, Roman on M-16 Moscow, go. You will need to activate power from the BPS panel at the bottom. There's a command like that at the bottom. Take a look at the panel. So, power off, activate. No, power on, activate. Simultaneously. And you will need to do that on MCC Moscow Go. So if there are instructions to do so, I will do it. I just wanted to have an understanding where the button is located. Okay, I copy. And also, Roman, since we're operating in the backup automatic mode, there are some slight changes. When we're opposite the docking port, so the first command will be eliminated, ZACOM capture. After that, should be ZACON, child ZACON approach. It should be, instead, you will receive the command vehic station keeping at the bottom. At bottom of the display, it will be instruction 35. And that is nominal. Yes. After that, we're going to
Progress continuing its fly around of the International Space Station now. The two vehicles are about 257 miles above the west coast of Africa now, above Western Sahara, and
okay, copy, and everything else.
Flying northeast towards the Mediterranean Sea.
Monitoring should be occurring for the procedure. Okay, copy. Small distortion on the display. Range 237 and 0 and 23 range rate during fly around. Okay, copy.
This is Mission Control Houston, Progress 51, now about 700 feet away from the International Space Station, continuing its flying around to get into position for station keeping and then its final approach to the space station. It's moments continuing to perform the rendezvous under its KERS system, which is the automated rendezvous and docking system used to guide the Progress in for its docking at the aft end of the Zvezda service module on the space station. However, the crew on board is ready to take over using the Toru system if necessary. That system was checked out about 15 minutes ago, and everything went well with that checkout. So if needed, flight engineers Roman Romanenko and Pavel Vinogradov can use that system to fly the Progress in manually for a docking. However, as I said, at the moment, still using the KERS system and everything going as planned.
I see range 210 and range is 7.1, and we see station motion around the center of crosshairs. Copy. Yes, we also see stations speaking simultaneously. Okay. 200 meters. Range rate is 0.1. So now we have the image again, range 200, range rate 009. So we're currently slowly approaching the axis of the sim docking port. And we also see through the windows a rather nominal range and predictable motion. We see rotation along the roll axis, active roll to the right. How is the quality of the video? Quite good. We are now at 90 degrees. Range rate is 0.192 and range is 200. We're continuing the maneuver along the roll axis. Range is 200. Copy. I believe we completed the roll maneuver right now. No, we're not switching to the SM axis yet. As far as the roll is concerned, the dimensions of the station, I think we completed the maneuver along the roll axis. Copy. I see we approached SM. We have approach. I see the docking port.
Progress is now finished its fly around of the vehicle and is now in station keeping mode. That will stay at that until it's ready to begin its final approach.
Distorted image.
Which should be starting in just a few minutes, about 5 minutes now. 7:16. And that's about 10 minutes before it's docking, scheduled for 7:27 a.m. Central Time.
Compartment.
Again, once it does move in for docking, the plan is to bring the vehicle to a soft dock, but not a hard dock, to give the teams here on the ground, with the help of the crew on board the station, some time to assess that antenna that didn't deploy after launch and make sure that it is not going to do any damage to the equipment around the docking interface in the position that it's in at this time. That assessment could take some time, and the hard docking would be delayed for a while, but in the meantime, it would remain soft docked to that aft port on the Zvezda module.
From the assembly compartment. We're losing video. There should now be an increase in range rate. Okay, so flight squad is 0.1017, 0.19, 0.3, 0.4. Thrusters are going to the starboard and down. Range is 150. 0.4 is the range rate.
Progress 51 now beginning its final approach a little earlier than planned, and moving in towards that docking port on the aft end of the Zvezda module.
Brecher's initial operation. Is that correct? Sending it. Yes, I confirm. Sending Brecher's initial operation with HSC mode. No, it's not going to get better. I'm going to stay in this mode. Roman, whichever way it's more convenient for you. Okay. I turned off operation. Now we lost video right now. Sending BPS initial. We have the video again. Sending operation.
The software patch that was sent up by Russian ground controllers that's going to enable us to use the KERS system for this docking will mean that the final approach is much slower than it usually is. That'll give the teams here on the ground time to assess the vehicle as it moves in for docking and make sure that everything is going as it should. Again, the crew on board the station is standing by to take over and dock the Progress manually if needed, but for now we are continuing to use the KERS automated docking system to guide the Progress 51 in for its docking on the aft end of the Zvezda service module.
Now we got the picture back. Range 8-9. Looking at the angle docking, port is 1 cell over. The target is port side below. 04 is the range rate. Copy. Operation is off. Copy. We're approaching 1 cell off to the docking compartment. Copy. The center of crosshairs in relation to the target is 2 degrees, basically 2 cells over. Speaking simultaneously. A copy 2 degrees. Range, we passed 1 cell. It's about 6-2, and the range rate is 04, approaching. Copy.
Progress 51 now about 160 feet away from the space station, moving in on that port that you can see here through the camera on board Progress at the aft end of the Zvezda service module. Again, this final approach is going to be much slower than usual to give the teams here on the ground time to assess the vehicle as it does make its approach.
Operation.
That's courtesy of a software patch that was sent up to allow the KERS system to be used without this antenna that didn't deploy following its launch on Wednesday.
Yes, I can talk. Okay, copy. We have SSP ready. Range is...
One of the other antennas on board the Progress was just retracted as per the plan. That is an antenna that's used to provide mechanical scanning of the target, in this case the space station, for range rate information. That again was retracted as planned, and you're seeing here the current view of the Progress as it approaches the space station.
36, and range rate is 018 or 19.
Docking mechanism on the Zvezda service module has been powered up. Again, everything continuing to progress as planned, although slower than usual, to give everyone time to assess the situation as the Progress does make its way into the docking port. Again, in this case with the antenna that didn't deploy following launch in a different position than usual, Progress is only going to be soft docked to the space station for now, to give the teams here on the ground time to take a look and make sure that the position that it's in is not going to do any damage to the hardware around the docking area.
We see the target. Simultaneously. Could you repeat? Switch to cover 1. How copy? Copy. VHF 1. How copy on VHF 1? Moscow calling ISS and VHF 1. How do you copy? Loud and clear? Very loud. Range 20 meters, 009 range rate. 2 cells is port side. Port side, 1 cell, bottom, 2 cells. 20 meters and 2.5 cells. Copy transmission.
This view now of the Progress about 65 feet away from the International Space Station and slowly continuing to move into its docking port on the Zvezda service module.
20 meters range. Go. Copy transmission. Copy. Range rate 009. It's 2 degrees to the left, to the port side.
View you're getting now provides a good look at the antenna that didn't deploy during or following launch on Wednesday. It's just below the crosshairs here on the screen. You can see a deployed antenna near the top center of the screen, and that is what the other antenna would normally look like. Again, because of the position it's in and because that's not the normal position, Progress will only be coming in for a soft dock to the space station for now, to give the teams here on the ground the time to take a look at the position that the the antenna is in and make sure it's not going to do any damage in that position to the hardware and equipment that surrounds it on the in the docking area.
Bottom to the port side.
A soft dock means that the forward docking probe on the vehicle will enter the docking port, but won't go far enough to initiate capture or close the hooks that would bring it in for a hard dock. Normally, once those hooks are closed, the probe would then draw in to pull the two vehicles flush together, so we won't see that in this docking. Instead, it will stay in that soft dock mode as long as needed before the teams here on the ground are comfortable with bringing it in for a hard dock.
Yes, copy. We received antenna closing. Visually, we passed. Okay, 14 meters. How is the picture? It is stable, nominal. 1.5 cells over. 10 meters. Copy. And range is 0.1. Slight roll. SSP ready. Yes, we copy SSP ready. Range is 10. Copy. The crosshairs are slowly approaching the center. Copy. Copy transmission, range inaudible. Range rate 002.
Визуально смотри и остановился движение на сближение отсутствует. По клеточкам вытягивайся к центру, мишень сейчас будет совпадать.
Right now the target 1.5 cells. If we're looking at the cells for
Вы знаете,
target.
такое состояние, то ли оно зависло, то ли даже пролетело и расходится.
You see, it's either
АЗР горит при этом, идет отход.
AZR is on, there's retrograde 002 on approach. The target is in the center.
Мишень колеблется в районе.
The target ranges near the center and one cell over.
Опять увеличение. Опять
Check the transmission inaudible.
Медленно.
Две клеточки на 7 метров.
2 cells. The target is over by 2 cells, and it is 7 meters. Copy 7 meters. The target inaudible.
Просто объедет. Изображение замер.
Stop the transmission.
Потеря у нас. Есть. Остановился у нас.
MCC Moscow ISS, it has slowed down.
Так, идет сближение.
Approach.
Саша, будь наготове.
Так, у нас нет изображения.
We do not have the picture. VKU does not have the picture.
С камеры.
Тогда визуально.
Body visual reporting.
Есть восстановление.
We have
Восстановление 00.
006.
Скорость 008. Мишень.
Range rate is 008.
Дальность 3,5 клетки мишень.
What about the range 3.5? So it's
Скорость
on the
007.
crosshairs. Range rate 007. We're going to have contact in a couple of seconds, we assume.
You heard we are standing by now for contact between Progress 51 and the International Space Station.
Have contact. That's good. We have capture.
And the teams here on the ground confirm that Progress 51 has been captured. That was at 7:25 a.m. Central Time.
Do you see anything out your window? Sasha?
Again, we do have capture between the Progress 51 and the International Space Station. That took place at 7:25 a.m. when the two vehicles were 261 miles over the Chinese-Kazakhstan border.
Саша,
Sasha Roman.
Тестует нам не отвечает. Он человек видит.
Sasha is not responding to our request. Does he see anything out the window or just nothing?
Антенна была сложена полностью.
Antenna was fully folded.
Идет небольшие колебания, больше
There's some
пока нет.
flexing. Are you talking about ISS flexing? Okay, we also thought that antenna was folded. So you're not seeing anything. Listening.
Нет, если вы заслушаете там стрелка, нет никаких шумов.
On Brecher, did you hear any grinding.
Again, the Progress 51 has been captured now by the space station and is currently in the process of retracting the docking probe that would allow it to be hard docked to the space station, doing that very slowly and assessing the clearances between the clearances between the undeployed KERS antenna that did not deploy after launch and the equipment around the docking area to make sure that in the off nominal position that it's in, it won't do any damage.
Roman? The top control room is talking. ISS Moskva.
Я вот по поводу тебе рассказывал выдачи команд.
I was telling you about sending the command.
Будь рядом и будь.
Please be nearby and be ready to send the command. On my go. But do not hurry.
Ожидай.
Okay, yes, I'm standing by for the command. Do stand by.
Нас, в общем, что интересует? Интересуют какие-то посторонние звуки.
We're interested in some unexpected noise, but it's a little too early, in about 60 seconds. Copy.
Артем, насколько я понимаю, для этого надо будет еще выдать мне команду «Работа».
Artem, as far as I understand, for the purpose of we need to send the operation command.
Рома, а ты что, команду «Работа» отключил или что?
Roman, did you deactivate operation? At 33 meters, you had the operation on. Inaudible. Okay, well, do you have something now? Do you hear any sound? So you hear no sounds, nothing.
Литовская РК. Вы что-нибудь слышите там, нет?
Sasha,
У нас 300...
do you hear anything or not? We have 340 millimeters
Режим стягивания.
at this time. I'm breaking up.
МКС тут Москва на свет. Входим в S-бенд.
В СБ никак не слышно.
Слушай, хорошо, меня как слышно?
ISS MCC Moscow, this is ISS on Space Sta Ground 1. We have you loud and clear.
Не понял еще раз.
Do you hear any noises from over from that side?
Находится Павел.
Pavel is in the area. He has his headset on, and if he hears something, he'll let you know. If he's not saying anything, it must be silence in his headset. Okay, we copy. No sound.
Team here on the ground is reporting that the capture hooks on the Zvezda docking port have been powered up, standing by to
Okay, our data shows that the hook.
Listen for the confirmation that those are going to be used to hard dock the Progress to the space station. Everything looking good so far.
On Space Sta Ground 1, how do you...
On the clearance between the undeployed antenna and the area around it.
So the gear was working nominally, and then in the end, probably 8 to 10 seconds before it turned off, the gear turned off. There was a light clapping sound. I'm not sure how to explain it, the small pop. Again, about 8 to 10 seconds before the gear stopped, and I did not hear any other foreign sounds that are not supposed to be there. Okay, you didn't hear anything. No, Vladimir Alexeyevich, there was nothing that would sound strange. Okay, Pasha, thank you very much. Because we had our doubts, our concern that we might reach it, but it sounds good. Yes, I would imagine I would have heard something. So it's probably all normal. Although, we could go look. What do you mean, go as an EVA? Oh, yeah, sure, an hour or an hour and a half. Why not? Sasha and Roma are all ready.
Listening to a conversation between the crew and the team here, or the team on the ground in Russia. The crew reporting that they didn't hear any noise that might indicate that the undeployed Kurs antenna came into contact with any of the equipment in the area around it, but quite generously offering to go take a look on a spacewalk if needed.
Go ahead. Artyom. So what do we do next? Next? Both speaking at the same time. So the sounds I guess we're looking for is the locks. Artyom, say that again. I am saying that we're waiting for the command for tour deactivation at this time. Okay, I copy. Roman, this is Popovkin speaking. Do you read me? Yes, I have you loud and clear. Hello. Hello. So everything is normal, and congratulations. We'll wait for about 3 hours, and then you guys can go look.
And the team here on the ground now reporting that the hooks are now closed between the two vehicles.
We appreciate
more solidly docking the Progress 51 to the International Space Station. That took place at 7:34 a.m. Central Time. Again, the initial capture took place at 7:25 a.m. Central Time. That is when the Progress was soft docked first to the space station, and after some time to carefully retract the docking probe and bring the two vehicles flush together as the teams here on the ground monitored the clearances between the undeployed Kurs antenna and the area around it. The hooks between that finally connect the two vehicles were closed at 7:34 a.m. Central Time.
Copy, Artyom. Say that again. We received the go to deactivate the Toro mode, and please continue reporting on everything you do. Unfortunately, I cannot read. I do not understand what you're saying, so I will go ahead and deactivate the Toro mode. How copy? Moscow comes across with a lot of interference. Okay, so page 24. 27. Understood. On MCC, go Toru deactivation per page 27.
This is Mission Control Houston with the capture that took place at 7:25 a.m. Central Time and the final hooks closed that took place at 7:34 a.m. Progress has arrived at the International Space Station, carried with it
so I deactivated the hand control.
More than 3 tons of cargo to deliver. Included in that is 1,764 pounds of propellant, 48 pounds of oxygen, 57 pounds of air, and 926 pounds of water, as well as 3,483 pounds of dry cargo that includes maintenance equipment, resupply items, life support system items, and experiments, for a total of about 3.1 tons of total cargo that's now delivered to the International Space Station on board Progress 51.
Okay, I am ready to deactivate the transmitter on the PA1. Copy. You have our go. Now moving on to working with the laptop, turning off television and moving on to the rest of the procedure. Please confirm. Yes, we confirm.